Today I want to answer some questions I get asked about my rig all the time. How I dial in my effects pedals, why I use tube amps instead of modelers, why I use a switcher on my pedal board, and why I don't have a compressor on this pedal board. Let's break down how I get my worship guitar tone. The first thing I want to say is there's no paid promotion here. I'm not affiliated with any of these products. I use them because I like them. They work for the sounds that I want to create. Let's quickly go through the signal chain before I get to some of these sounds in my pedal board. So it starts with this Duesenberg Star Player TV coming out of the guitar into my pedal board here. This is a Vertex buffered interface that's underneath my pedal board here. Check that out. It is such a great tool to clean up the pedal board, get it to sparkle and really be dynamic. It makes a huge difference. But anyway, going in the input here, going through the interface, and it goes right to the input of the Gigrig G2. And I'll break down, how I use these products in real shortly here. But then I have all my drive pedals in the Gigrig loops. So I can, punch them in and out when I want to. And then the output goes to the Vertex Boost, which I use that for boost and for the volume pedal here. Then out of that goes back through the output of the interface, which goes to my car Mercury V amplifier. That is connected to the Waza tube amp expander that I use for studio use. That's what you're going to hear through my interface. And then for my reverb, delay, and modulation, I have those going through the buffered interface also, in and out, right to the buffered interface. And those are connected to the Waza tube amp expander in the effects loop, a very clean effects loop. For me, I want a pedal board and rig to be inspiring to play, not confusing, not tap dancing around a bunch of pedals, and I don't want to be thinking about that. So first, I'm using this Gigrig G2. It's an older switcher. They have upgraded models, but they're kind of expensive, so I've had this one for many years. It's very easy to store stuff in here too. Check out Gigrig, very nice quality switchers and all kinds of pedal board friendly gear. But I can just hit a button and I have this sound for my neck pickup mostly. This has a nice ambient sound, but very, very usable. So what I'm doing is like in that setting right there, I'm using the Blue Note here from J-Rocket Audio. It's just a kind of a very clean overdrive, Klon style overdrive. So I have the volume way up on this thing, hitting the front of this amplifier, and it naturally compresses that way. That's why I don't have a compressor on the board, because I'm using my first stage drives here, hitting the front of the clean amp, in a hard way, but it actually compresses it. I can feel it, and it feels good under my fingers. And that's another reason I use a real tube amp. It just naturally compresses and has just a lot of dynamics in it that modelers don't have, for me anyway. There's guys that make modelers sound fantastic, and I'm a fan of those players. I've just tried many of them, and I can't get around or get away from the tube amp stuff, probably because I grew up in the 70s that's all we used, obviously, 70s, 80s, and 90s. So I'm really stuck on this. Still can get a lot of clarity because I'm going through the effects loop of the Waza tube amp expander to really clean up these effects. But I can easily take that sound right there, add some trails here from this H90 here, Eventide H90. You can hear the little trails behind it. And I could also, why it's so creative, I can just hit, instead of tap dancing, I can hit this tilt overdrive by Rev here to add more to the sound that I already have. You have this nice clean sound. You can add some more. And if you hit that button, it kind of takes away anything you've added and gets right back to that sound. And the other clean sound I use all the time, and I mostly for the bridge pickup, I say clean, and both of those have some grit to them when I dig on it, but this is still fairly clean. For that sound, I'm using this Archer by J Rocket Audio also. It's similar to this Blue Note, but it just naturally has more grit to it, and I really like it. This humbucker here in the bridge pickup of this Duesenberg, this sounds really good like that. And then again, I really like this switcher because I can just add to it. I have this sound, I can just boost it up. And I get right back to that little bit cleaner sound and easily get back to that real clean sound. Easily get back to these other sounds. So I dial in my drive pedals. These first two pedals that I have in these first two settings here, I have the volume way up on these, past 12 o'clock. This one at 12, but this is almost at 2 o'clock because it slams the front of this tube amp and just gives it a lot of dynamics. I can really ride my volume pedal to clean things up as I back it down. And when I dig in, if I go all the way to 10 on it, it really is responsive that way. And honestly, this is a lot of stuff to take to my church rehearsal and for Sunday worship. But when I get everything there and set up, which doesn't take very long, I am so, blessed to have it, and it just really feels good in my hands. And once I just take some time to set things up, I can open my mind and just worship our Father in heaven. So getting back to, you don't see a compressor on here, it's because I do have those volumes so far up, which it does naturally compress, like I said earlier. And just with this simple setting here on about 7 or 8, a little less reverb there. And then you dig it up to 10 here. and then you back it down a little bit. It just has a lot of character. So like I said earlier, you know, the reverb delay H90, which is a lot of modulation stuff. This is a workhorse. It does almost anything, but I really kind of use it to add, I like the octave vibe here, chorus. So if I have a sound already set up, I can hit the chorus. I don't like a heavy chorus, but that definitely gives it that chorus. Then the vibe. Just has I love that sound. That's all coming from Eventide here, a little bit of reverb over here. And if I want a little bit of trails with a sound, and I have here, it's just a click away. You just have these sounds at your feet, and you can access them very quickly and easily just erase everything, get back to that sound for another part of a verse or something. It's just an easy way to set up my workflow in my mind, basically, because I don't want to get confused and have a bunch of complicated things going on when I'm trying to worship the Lord as I play. So then I have stuff for just an ambient sound set up for things, which has a little swell to it. And that's coming from the shimmer and crystal settings in this H90 here. And just with a little bit of delay. But I also can add more delay. And that delay really works with, it just still sounds all clean because it's going into that effects loop of that tube amp expander. Really, all the effects really stay clean. I can have a lot of the effect in the signal, but it really retains a lot of clarity. So for reverb and delay, I really link together so they kind of feed each other. And even with this heavy delay setting, it's easy to tap in what you need. You hear how the delay is mixing with the reverb. Now, if I want to do, I just back the reverb down on another setting if that's just too much. So if I want more clarity, in more of a setting with some rhythm. And we always need a swell setting. So the ambient just doesn't have as many trails, you know, the length of the reverb is less. So on the swell setting, I have it, you hear it just really sustaining there. For me, it's nice just to get a swell, and I use my volume pedal a lot, but I also use my volume here to get those sounds. But then I can always get back to that basic sound when it goes to another part of a song. Usually I'm the only electric player, so I'm wearing a couple different hats, playing rhythm and lead, and even, you know, adding some of this ambient stuff. You just want to have access to different sounds when you need them. Another thing I'm doing is with this delay. Didn't talk about this yet, but it's a control knob by Electro Harmonics. It's actually an expression pedal, basically. So you hear that heavy delay? If I just click that, it's less. And I have the volumes. I can control each setting very easily on the fly. You can hear it dominate, but if you want to back it back down for another part, because this heavier setting would just overtake that kind of a part. So it's just really nice to have that access to a couple different sounds really quick. I did have a expression full pedal, which takes up a lot of space. But for me, I was always either having it all the way or all the way up or down. So this is very inexpensive. If you need just a couple options with your reverb or delay or any pedal, it can easily give you a couple options, you know, on the spur of the moment. It's a really nice pedal. Again, I'm not affiliated with any of this stuff. I've accumulated it over many years. I'm not well off financially at all. I've been blessed with some nice equipment that I've just obtained over the years, and just really a blessing to have a pedal board, a rig like this that's so inspiring. And then I can quickly get to some lead sounds, just really quick. Or just full-blown lead. Easily just have those sounds right, and it's grabbing right there. I'm grabbing a reverb sound, a delay sound, and if I want to grab an octave sound to create a lead line, always have that option. Click the button, it goes right back to the simple setting. And also, I only use a few different settings for each pedal, honestly. The delay stuff, I'm using more that Andy Timmons kind of thing, is a really light right here, though. You can hear it a little bit, but if I hit this pedal, it goes to heavier. And then I have that ambient. This sounds great. But I can easily back off that, and I always use a little bit with the reverb, and it just creates a nice wideness of the notes you play and chords. So again, I'm using just, these are my most used settings, and I add this top row adds something to those sounds, and that just makes it easy for me. If I'm thinking of a sound for a part as it comes up, I have the access for that. And I usually do this creative stuff at rehearsal and not wait till Sunday morning, but it's kind of planned out. It takes some time, and it's fun doing it, just getting some sounds that you're really comfortable with that work with your rig, because these sounds that are in this effects loop, if I use the exact same settings that I have here and put everything through the front of the amp without this interface, it would be a mess, a total mess. Way too much mix on these effects pedals. It's just the front end is so much more sensitive. You can easily dial them in, back off the mix, and get the sound close that you want. And I did that for years, going straight through the front of the amp. But for me, I just like a lot of effect at times, and this is a great way to keep it clean and clear, and just really inspiring for me. I'd like to hear from you, so if you have any questions, leave a comment. Let me know what you're thinking and maybe what you're using that works for you. Thanks for hanging out with me, and remember, God is good.